No intros. We're skipping the intro. We're skipping the appetizer. We're going straight to the meal. You know who I am. You know who he is. Muffin, we got to talk about these NA playoffs, my guy.
Yeah, we do. I'm sure everybody was watching the G2 Loud game,
It just finished for
and
us, right? Like, that's when we're recording this, is right after
that's
that
true.
match.
Yeah.
It was not pretty.
No, it wasn't. I mean, G2 just scraping by with 2 rounds more than Sentinels.
Oh, man. They needed 3 in that second map.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that they got 5 total. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, man.
Was
Guys, if you have small children, don't let them go back and watch those games. They were ugly. They were ugly.
yeah.
But it was enough for G2 to get through
Yeah, I
into
mean,
these North American playoffs.
I'm sorry, Sentinels fans. Just,
They had
just
their 15 minutes of fame.
they
Okay.
did. They did.
They showed up. They got to go on their honeymoon cruise. It was cool. They even got the best script out of it. Somebody
It's
else's turn.
yeah, I mean, which is insane to me. I mean, last week I mentioned that for Group Alpha at least, it seems like the teams with the highest expectations are at the bottom, teams with the lowest are at the top. And if you look at the standings now, Crew and Cloud9 at the top, Sentinels Energy at the bottom.
Hey, I
I
mean, I
mean,
think that that's kind of the truth for all of North America, right? Like, I mean, Loud had to win today to get in. Now, credit to
yeah,
them. They got over their slump. Are they back? I don't know.
I'm not fully
I don't know.
convinced. I'll be
Map
honest.
1 was not that convincing versus G2, and it really should have been from a Loud versus G2 standpoint. But
Yeah,
here we are, and they don't have to play each other round 1. G2 get the round 1 matchup of Cloud9. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'll be honest. I think it'll just come down to if Oxy shows up for Cloud9.
He's one of the highest rated players in the whole event, right?
Yeah,
1.3 KD, like the kid is nuts. He's
yeah,
definitely putting in the work, and he's one of the highest MVPs for the whole event. Him and Kesnet are right there for most MVPs in North America, um, which I
yeah,
think goes to show just how hard the two of them are beating down on Group Omega.
yeah. I mean, there's kind of a trend for C9, right? Like, Oxy's having a good game, they're winning.
You know who else
The
is a
one time they
major power
lost,
player, though?
Oxy wasn't really having a good play, and
That is fair. That is fair, but Moose showed up, and let me tell you, that man is holding the team together.
yeah, I'd
He
agree.
is that late round clutch potential that C9 really needed to actually look like a good team.
Hashtag Moose is loose.
He is
He
loose
is,
all over the place,
yeah,
bro.
he is pretty
And he plays
insane.
like
I'll
a
be honest.
lunatic.
I mean, I think, I think there's a lot of underrated players throughout all regions.
We're
I think
learning
that
that this
him
season
getting,
for sure.
yeah, and I think him being picked up, a lot of people may have thought like, okay, like Moose, I guess. Not sure who this
Yeah,
guy is, right? And you're right, he has been doing very well for them. He's been kind of a pillar for that team. He's shown up when he has to, and it's made
Have
a
they
big difference.
lost since they brought Moose in? Just the one game, right? Because
Just
they made
one
the
game,
change.
yes. Yeah,
Um, they dropped Jakey and Whippy,
yeah,
and they brought in Moose
yeah,
and Rooney right
yeah,
before the stage 1. I couldn't remember if that
yeah,
happened during Madrid or like after that first week, but
yeah. But yeah,
uh,
they've only lost one match since, which I don't know. That's a pretty good
you can
result if you
argue
ask
against
me,
names
right?
all you
Like,
want, but you can't argue against the results, man. You can't
yeah,
argue against
yeah.
evidence.
And speaking of results, I do think the C9 versus G2 game is going to C9's favor.
Yeah, I mean, because what
Yeah.
does G2 have to respond with?
See, that's kind of the line what I'm thinking on, right? Like, Leaf is insane, Trent's insane, all of G2 is insane, sure, but I haven't seen that kind of it factor from their players this split as compared to, again, Oxy or Moose, for example, right?
The only one who even has a decent rating out of their roster is Leaf. You know, he's actually been
Mhm.
putting up really strong, consistent numbers throughout the season, but everybody else is they're okay. They're doing okay this season, like on an individual, they're doing okay. But
Yeah, but
we're in playoffs, right?
yeah, it's
Is
not
that
good
enough?
enough, right? Yeah, it's this is really, the point where those players who have a lot of impact need to be showing up. And
Which we'll get to that when we get back to APAC at the very end of this video, guys. Stay
yeah,
tuned for that. But
yeah,
yeah,
but
this is definitely a time for superstars to shine or to be born, right? If you're gonna make it
mhm,
past. But I do think that Cloud9 just come to this match with more firepower,
yeah,
man for
I
man.
wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. Um,
Um,
I will say, if they do make it to crew, I think crew beats C9. Um, I actually think they'll beat G2 as well. Uh, I think crew's just playing phenomenally right now. Like,
I think Crew versus C9 would be potentially the most hyped matchup of this whole bracket. No,
honestly, yeah, it might be. Um, I know. I mean, personally, I'd think Leviathan and Loud would be kind of nuts, right? Aspas going against his old team in the playoffs
we'll get to that side of the
would be nuts.
bracket in a
But
second, but I actually kind of expect that one to be a complete wash. And sorry to all the Brazilian fanboys out there, but we'll see, we'll see. But I mean, I don't even know if Loud is going to make it past 100 Thieves, which I guess is the next talking point. Is 100 Thieves versus Loud is probably the most even matchup in this entire bracket period, right up until we get to upper bracket finals.
yeah, I mean, listen, 100 Thieves played. We're the better team against NRG. I'll admit it. But is it enough to beat Loud? Who knows? I guess it depends what Loud we get.
That is true. I mean, in terms of
Um,
raw performances, NRG and Loud are pretty much neck and neck
yeah, yeah,
by the
true.
numbers, by the results. One of them hasn't looked particularly more impressive than the others, you know. So I guess the question
Hmm.
is Loud back, right? Because if they're back, you kind of have to favor them against 100 Thieves, no?
I'd say you'd have to favor them versus most teams, right? Loud at their
Yeah.
best is one of the best teams in the world, but we've seen what they look like at their worst, and it doesn't look very good, right?
No.
But 100 Thieves have kind of slowly been on an uphill, right? They're kind of picking stuff up. They're playing a lot better.
They are.
Um,
I mean,
I
they're one
mean,
of only two teams in their group to go positive.
yeah, like it's, like the results aren't bad if you really just look at them, right? Like I'd say honestly, if we got 100 Thieves at their best versus Loud at their best, I do think Loud takes it. But if it's the same Loud that's been playing this whole split, I do think 100 Thieves is going to be favored, personally.
I think I agree with that. You know, Loud, they're looking better these past couple games, hands down. I mean, they demolished Sentinels. They came in solid win over G2. Second map, like I said, it was not close. Um, they look very very strong, but 100 Thieves has similar momentum. You know, they also just took out NRG very decisively. They took out another team with big names that people would have expected to overcome them, and they did it cleanly. And you know, Boostio is going to be the hype man on that roster, really pumping his team up, really driving them forward. Meanwhile, like Loud, it's like they're trying to live up to the weight of their own expectations. You know, nobody expected 100 Thieves really to be in the playoff bracket.
Yeah, I'm in.
Maybe as the third place team out of their group, right? Nobody really expected them to
Hmm.
be like good. But I actually think that 100 Thieves have a very good chance of beating Loud. I would even say that as of right now, the way that they're both playing, I would favor them to beat Loud. You also have to think, again, we talked about this before, 100 Thieves and Loud have probably been playing a lot of scrims versus each other lately, you
Yeah,
know,
probably. Yeah.
throughout the stages. And the difference is that 100 Thieves got better results than Loud. So, versus the same teams.
Yeah.
I think 100 Thieves is probably my favorite pick at the moment as well, which means that we won't get to see the whole Loud versus Auspice matchup versus Leviathan, but
I
either
mean,
way.
that's personally, I do think Boostio is really what got 100 Thieves out of the ground.
Mhm.
I think he's definitely shown from obviously EG's results last year, winning champs, and to him bringing 100 Thieves from being a team that everybody kind of just thought like, okay, well, they're kind of a wash at this point.
Yeah.
He's proven to be he is the definition of a franchise player, right? Like he is who you want on your team, especially with how young he is. Um,
Yeah.
he definitely brings a lot of energy for them. And honestly, I will say I do think they will beat Loud personally. I don't think Loud is going to come back and show their best form ever.
I don't. Yeah.
But listen, no matter who wins, they got to go to the king, the goat himself, Aspas, who's
Auspice
I mean, he's the
is
faker of Valorant at this
currently
point, right? Like,
rocking a 1.76 KD, which is higher than the second place by 0.42 in the region.
and that's against the
And
best players in the world.
do you know who's in second place? I'll give you
Tell
one
me,
guess.
tell me,
It's
Jeff.
King. The two highest performing players in the entire region by a large margin in Aspas's case are on Leviathan.
Yeah,
Now, I'll
I
give
mean,
100 Thieves this. Cryocells is right there with King. And Bang and EU are both very high up there. You know, they've got representation at the very top. Meanwhile, it's like, well, Leviathan, you got two guys at the top, and then you start scrolling down the stat board to find the rest of them. It really is that kind of a team. But at the same time, it's kind of okay because when was the last time Auspice let a team down? You know, they beat
yeah, I
Crew,
mean, yeah,
who were set to be one of the only teams to go in undefeated into the playoff bracket. They showed up and they put that game to bed too.
yeah. I mean, Leviton's crazy, right? Having the two highest performing players in the region be on your team is it's a nice bonus, right? It's a nice,
Yeah, it feels good.
yeah. I
Feels good. I
mean,
can imagine calling for that team is very difficult for King. Guys,
oh,
Aspis and I have killed 4 people. I need the 3 of you to clean up this mess. Would you? Thank you.
yeah. I mean, it's that team is insane. There's not really any way to say it. Like, I don't think whether 100 teams are allowed win their match. I think they're just going to lose to Leviathan. I don't think it'll
That's
change anything for them.
that's a David versus Goliath story right there.
Hmm.
100%. And I think that's the case because I'll say this about North America. Of the North American teams, the only ones that have looked good are Leviathan, Crew, and Cloud9.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I'm like,
Yep.
ooh, I don't know, man. Like, are you sure?
Yeah. I mean,
Um, I've even got our producer chuckling. You're gonna hear him in this because he forgot to mute himself. Oh
but
man.
yeah. I mean, I think I agree with that. To be honest with you, um, I don't think there's any way that Brew and Leviathan don't make it personally. Um, I'd be very surprised.
If we've learned
Like,
anything from this stage and the playoffs that have already started, it's that upsets persist. But I think that both of them are pretty safe bets. You know, I think that they they have just so much star power and drive to drag their teams over the edge. I would be shocked. Now, I think that 100 Thieves could beat Leviathan. I think that Cloud9 could beat Crew. I just don't think that they will. So I
mhm.
think that
I
we're going to
mean,
get Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves in the lower bracket semifinal.
yeah. I mean, in all honesty, I think for Crew and Leviathan to lose, I don't even think it'd be a matter of their opposing team being better. It's just
They would have to not
Crew and
show up and play,
Leviathan didn't
right?
show up. Yeah, like Aspas decided, guys, I don't want to get 40 kills this game. I want to relax a little bit, you know. Maybe I'll go
Yeah, I feel like
-47 instead, right? Like,
Aspis is playing on an Atari joystick, you know, like that's the kind of game
yeah,
that you
yeah,
need to happen.
yeah.
It can
I mean,
happen, but let's be real. Asuna is not going to drop 47 kills to win a map.
no,
He doesn't have that kind of skill
yeah,
or willpower.
or at least he hasn't shown it. Haven't seen it,
Doesn't exist until
you
I've
know.
seen it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, G2 just scraped by. I don't think they'll qualify though. In my mind, um,
Yeah.
like you said earlier, I don't think they have that
G2
star
out,
power, right?
loud, out. C9 versus 100 Thieves in the lower bracket. I give that one to C9.
I think I would agree with that too. Yeah.
And
I
so in
mean,
that case, we're looking at the top three of Crew, Leviathan, and C9. And of those three, I think that any of them can take it.
yeah, I think I'd agree with that for sure. Um, I would say I'd place most of my bets on Leviathan personally, only because those players have more experience on the master stage for the most part. So that could
Crew.
play a big role once they actually get to Shanghai and stuff.
Mhm.
But I mean, Crew has been destroying the season. Maybe they'll pull a kind of Cinderella run and just win everything. Uh, C9, I definitely think they have the skill. I'm not sure if their players have the experience to really win it out. If they make it to Shanghai, that is.
I
Like
think that
Oxy's brand new, right? Um, playing against, say he goes against PRX, for example. Listen, man, those guys are crazy. They have so much experience. Pressure is going to be a little high, right?
yeah, some young talent though doesn't feel the pressure. They only feel the hunger though, right? They only feel that desire to win, and they don't have any kind of pressure built up in their head. Like look at Donk in CS, 17-year-old kid annihilates all of the pro scene, you know. And how does experience prepare you for somebody who has no fear, no experience, no understanding of why they shouldn't be the best person on that stage, you know? What if Oxy
That's
shows up
valid.
and
Yeah.
just decides like, hey, like why is Aspis better than me? I am the GOAT. Um, and just tears his face off. You know, these are things that can happen. So I think that there's that little bit of volatility there, but from that, I think that Leviathan is the safe bet. I think that Crew versus C9 in that lower bracket probably be a rematch of Crew versus C9 in the upper bracket. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I mean,
It won't
I,
matter at that
I
point.
agree
Actually, they'll all go
completely
to
with that,
Shanghai.
to be
You know,
honest.
that they get some
Yeah,
champions points, what have you. But
yeah,
and then when it comes to Shanghai, I think you're right. I think once you're at Shanghai, Leviathan is the team that NA is going to be praying for to earn an extra spot. You know, like they're like, please
yeah,
do well, Leviathan. You don't want to waste your efforts praying for teams full of inexperienced players that you can't rely on in high pressure situations. Not that they can't perform. It's just not something that you expect to occur as much as you expect Aspis to be able to show up and perform, or King to be able to show up and perform. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with all of that, to be honest. I think this might be one of the only weeks where we're completely in agreement for these.
it's pretty straightforward
I
when it
mean,
comes to NA after they, did the math for us and eliminated Sentinels and NRG. And here I was at the beginning. I'm like, NRG
yeah,
look good. They look like they're gonna make it. And then they just boom, Sentinels.
guys,
Everybody thought they
there's,
were a surefire
yeah,
bet. Boom.
yeah,
Okay, you guys go back to the drawing board. Me and RG go back to your sponsors. Talk about your bank account. Like, get bottom groups. And everybody 3-3 score lines, positive round differential, all in group alpha, and you know, Loud is the one in the playoff bracket. You know,
yeah.
that's tough.
I mean,
But they did beat Sentinels.
they did.
They
They
do
did.
they do have the strength to do well. It's just a question of whether or not they'll show up. So, I mean, I'd be
Mhm.
happy to be wrong about some of these predictions. I'd also be happy to be right about some of these predictions. I like seeing new storylines get built, new dynasties start to form, and players really find footing at homes that they can be successful in, like Boostio at 100 Thieves and Aspis at Leviathan. These seem like places where players can really dig in and not have to worry about issues in the long term, where they can be
Mhm.
a franchise player who is building a dynasty within that franchise, because that's what it's all about. Having a system like this is you want players, to do to your organization like Tom Brady did to the Patriots, where he's like, yeah, we're gonna win everything as long as I'm here.
Yeah.
So that's a chance for these players to make a name for themselves. I think that pretty much wraps up NA. Now, me personally, Mr. Liquid fanboy over here, Mr. Team Liquid fanboy over here, we got to talk about EMEA, because this is some script writing legendary stuff, man.
Yeah. I mean,
How
I'm
does this
pretty sure I
happen?
said it last week. If Team Liquid or Sentinels make it, scriptwriters got to get a raise.
I'm gonna start
Instant
digging in
raise.
my wallet, bro. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
send them money. This is crazy.
BBL went from first to fourth. Okay, like what?
Well, I got their first win of
You
the
know what I mean?
season.
Like, yeah.
Liquid needed Koi to beat Vitality, which everybody was like, that's not going to happen. You can't do that. Koi hasn't won anything. No, Koi come out and win 2 maps to beat Vitality. And then Liquid had to destroy Gentlemates, a team that's done relatively well. And Liquid, they had not done relatively well.
No.
And here we are, Liquid, similar to North America, getting through 1 map win. They 2-0'd in order to go through. If they had not 2-0'd, they would have had to get a much higher round differential. But they 2-0'd in dominant fashion and snuck in. And Group Alpha, look at this. Look at the record of Group Alpha.
Yeah. Everybody's
This
three
is
and three.
unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. How does this happen?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's happening with the EMEA. It's kind of insane. I mean, like you said, Koi. I swear to God, Koi saw, Team Liquid could make it. We don't want Vitality to make it, I guess, right? Let's just play one good game. We've been trolling every other one, right? Let's just win this one. Why not?
One good
I
series.
mean, it's
The French players taking down the French org with no French players
maybe
in
that
it.
was the reason why, right? I mean,
That's karma right there for you.
yeah. I mean, it's
I local.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me, right? Like Carmine Core finishing top of their group. Like, I mean, we've obviously seen them at
Top of the
Madrid playing
group,
very
bro. That's
well. Like,
that's the top of a dog pile, man.
yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Three
That's
and
fair.
three across the whole board. Carmine. Everybody has lost 7 maps except for Carmine Core and Vitality. Where Vitality lost 7 and Carmine Core they lost 7, but they won an extra 2. That's just
Yeah.
like the map scores are so close. It's all so close in that group. Like the round differential and map score was really what determined who was going to playoffs. It's like, are any of these teams championship quality? Are they all championship quality? Like, I don't know.
I I wouldn't say any of them are championship quality based on EMEA's results of the past, champs and
That is true.
masters.
That
Um,
is true.
so and personally, I don't even know who to say is gonna make it through because I don't think it matters. I think they're gonna get washed once they get to Shanghai.
I
I'll
think
be
you're
honest.
probably
Like,
right. I mean, look, we got Fnatic versus Liquid in round 1, okay? And I think Fnatic are gonna take that one. Candidly, I hate to say it.
I would have said that last week, but Team Liquid are
Are they
not far
back?
behind.
Who
I mean,
knows?
like, and then they go against Carmine Core. Is Carmine Core good? I mean,
The wild thing is that one of these teams in Group Alpha is going to go to Shanghai. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that EMEA should take Group Alpha and shove it in the bin, and just promote all the 3 teams from Group Omega. Maybe
Yeah. I
have
mean,
Team Heretics battle it out versus the Group Alpha guys in a round robin or something. But
I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, even for the Group Omega guys, I don't think any of them are good enough to win Shanghai.
win
To be
Shanghai,
honest,
no. But I think FUT could do
like,
well. I actually think that FUT can go to Shanghai and do well because one, they are not as inhibited by this EMEA rigid playstyle. And
that's
two,
fair.
their players are on enough Adderall to beat the Chinese guys. Okay, their whole team is ready to just kill people. They're just gonna kill people. They will win the game by killing people. It's not the prettiest strategy. It's not the most technical game you've ever seen, but it does win rounds, and evidently wins them 4 matches. 9-3 map score. I mean, they're the only team with any kind of convincing position in the entire region.
That's fair. Um, Navi can be good. They can be. Some of their players are insane, right? Like individually, their players are crazy, but I mean, they haven't really had incredible results internationally lately. Team Heretics
Been
did
a long
actually show
time since
some
they were
promise.
international.
Yeah, that's true. Team Heretics actually did, in my opinion, they actually did pretty well in Madrid. Personally, I thought they actually
Yeah.
surprised a lot of people. But surprising people, I don't think is enough to win,
No,
right? Like,
that's
oh,
not
you
the kind
guys
of
aren't as bad as
surprise
we
we're
thought you
talking
were.
about.
That's
Yeah, it's a different kind of surprise.
all right.
Like, I'm surprised
Yeah,
you took
I mean,
maps. It's not, I'm surprised you actually made a playoff run. You know, it's
yeah. Um, I do think most of those teams are pretty good though. Um, they don't have that, I guess, edge over other regions in my opinion. But
I
I'm
think you're
open to
right.
be proven wrong. But if I were to choose my favorite team from this bracket, I would say Carmine Core, only
Interesting.
because I just love narrate.
That's fair. That
I
is
think
fair. I
NA
mean, he is
just
the man carrying the NA torch in
yeah,
EU, and
I mean
he's done incredibly well.
he
Um,
has, yeah. I mean NA
I mean,
really
I
lost a
obviously
good player,
want to
but
see Team Liquid do well, but I think the crazy thing is we're not going to see either Navi or Heretics. One of the two of them is just out. And
yeah,
I think that Navi will probably beat Heretics, but Heretics has a higher peak, so they could come out and be crazy. Who knows? Um, I think Fnatic beat Team Liquid, and then I think when we get to Carmine versus Fnatic, I think that that's got to be Carmine, and then I think FUT beats anybody in the whole bracket.
sure.
Um, so I'd have FUT go all the way. And what we'll end up with this is weird lower bracket final where it's Fnatic versus probably Navi. I guess that'd be the lower
More than
bracket semi.
likely, yeah.
And then, Navi beat them last time, so why wouldn't they beat them this time?
Yeah. I mean it's funny to me. It's probably one of the most competitive regions in terms of results. Obviously you can see it
Mm-hmm.
in the standings, but it's
I mean, any one of these
most
teams could
yeah.
win this bracket that we're looking at right here, right?
Yeah.
Like, any one of these teams could just beat every other team in this bracket,
Yeah.
depending on, whether or not they ate their Wheaties that morning. It's,
Um,
it really is that close between them.
yeah.
But once it
Uh
comes time to go international, if FUT don't go international, then none of them are doing anything overseas. That's
yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I agree with that to be honest. Again, most of these teams have shown some promise, but they haven't really taken some big names, right? So
Yeah,
I'm gonna say I guess Foot, Carmine Core are probably my top two here, but
there's just
again, I
also no
don't see
consistency
them.
across this
Yeah,
region,
I
right?
don't
It's
see
like
any of them really taking it all the way to finals personally.
you beat one team, then the only team with any kind of consistency is FUT. They're the only ones that
Hmm.
have been consistently good. Even Navi is just like they're losing a lot of maps. They're winning a lot of series, but they're losing a lot of maps by just not really playing that well or doing something that's weird but not good. All these issues keep cropping up. So I think we'll probably see, based off of the way the bracket is built, Navi, Carmine, Core, and Fut in the top 3. And I think that Fut takes that pretty convincingly. And then we'll have all next week to talk about Shanghai, guys. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about Shanghai once we know which 3 teams from every region are headed there, and we'll be doing that next week. So we'll see. We'll see how that power ranking looks. But I don't know that anybody in EMEA is going to score very high on that power for either of us. So,
No.
Sorry to all of my European friends, my European players that I used to coach. Your reason is not it. Not it. Get them some help. Call them an ambulance. Get good, and then take over and rise up. Be part of the solution. But as of right now, it needs one.
Yeah, definitely agree. So I guess now it's
China.
time to look over China. Yeah.
What a region, man! What a region! A region that we're just not on the right time zone to really follow this region closely. But I'll tell you what's crazy is that up until the last matches were played, Nova Esports was in dead last for their group, and they beat out Billy on round differential alone. So they didn't just have to win; they had to 2-0 with enough round differential to actually edge out Billy. They 2-0'd, and they got their round differential in.
Yeah.
And Nova Esports out of nowhere in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In other news, EDG did manage to beat out Trace Esports in a couple of incredibly close games, so their score line is actually kind of nuts. Them and FPX, but
yeah,
ooh.
To me, this region is just, the top teams are incredibly good. Anything below that is just not.
Well, like I
very
said,
competitive,
Trace Esports went toe to toe with EDG all the way through, and actually, even though again it was a 2-0, both maps were in overtime. So
yeah, but
and they're on the other side of the bracket,
they are.
so they'll probably beat all gamers. And I mean, Nova, look, you made it in. All right, I get it. You made it in, but you're kind of in a G2 situation here where you squeezed in. I think it was all for naught. I think Dragon Rager Gaming is just going to hit you.
I think Edward Gaming's gonna beat either of them. Gotta be honest. It's
Yeah, Edward is on another level in that group.
Edward is still gaming.
Yes, he is.
I
Yes, he is. I mean, the only match they lost was to FPX, right?
Yeah.
And that's a match that historically goes kind of either way, You get players showing up, players who don't show up. That's the nature of China. One guy could drop 30 in any random match. You don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
Those are the teams that have those guys, right? Those are the teams
Yeah.
where the players will just drop 30 in a match. 2 of them on either team could just go crazy. Everybody else is AFK, but YSR just decided to have a game. Okay. Nobody's surprised when one of the players on one of these teams goes ham.
Yeah, it's EDG's just gonna beat them, in my opinion. Even FPX, I don't see
You don't
Trace
see him
or
doing the
all
double?
gamers. Nah, I don't see Trace or all gamers beating FPX.
That would be a legendary feat, man.
That would be.
Who even really knows who Trace Esports is, right? Like, they came out of nowhere. They're one of the top teams in the region. All of a sudden, they're performing incredibly well versus other incredibly skilled teams. I think that they probably go to Shanghai. I do.
Really? Okay.
I do. I think that they beat any team that's not FPX or EDG in this bracket. And they're the only team outside of FPX and EDG that has shown the potential to beat either of those teams. So if they did manage to squeeze out a win, maybe not in that upper bracket final or semifinal, but if they, they go to that lower bracket semifinal, they beat probably Dragon Ranger Gaming, go to the lower bracket final. If they play FPX or EDG, I think that they could squeeze that out and make it into that grand final. But I think that they're a pretty safe third place bet.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really know anything about Tracy Sports.
Neither do
My
I.
top two picks are obviously FPX, EDG. Just going off the numbers, I guess Tracy Sports would close it in third place.
I mean, look,
Nova
this is a
barely made
region
it
determined
through.
by round differential, right? The round differential
Hmm.
paints the
Yeah,
story of this region.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like Nova barely scraped through. All gamers, I mean, who's all gamers? Fifth place
They won
speaking.
3 series, but they got hammered in the 2 that they lost. I'll tell you that much
Yeah,
because they're
yeah,
-3 still. They're a 3-2 score
hmm,
line, -3.
yeah.
Meanwhile, EDG and FPX +50 and +55, bro. They're like the reverse made in Brazil. This is made in China.
Yeah, like I will
Modern day
say,
manufacturing.
I will say though, as much as I do love EDG, um, I don't think any team in China will be in contention to win Shanghai. Personally, um,
Now,
if there is anybody who would do
normally,
it, I would say EDG for sure.
normally I would agree with you, but these are Chinese teams in a Chinese city at a Chinese event.
I mean, sure, but listen,
When you
man.
got, I mean, imagine the size of these crowds, dude. How big are these stadiums going to be in China? We're talking about like probably 30 or 40,000 screaming Chinese fans.
I mean,
You're
sure,
going to
but I mean,
be,
Loud lost in Brazil to Fnatic, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, home
oh,
crowd
that one hurts,
advantage is a
bro.
thing, sure, but
That
listen,
one hurts. All the Brazilians out there just cried out in pain. I felt a disturbance in the force, okay? Like,
hey, I mean,
they should
I'm
have
just
won
saying,
that game. I
you
think
blew
that
an
they
11-3
knew they
lead.
should have won that game. That's the point. I don't think Chinese players are going to blow an 11-3 lead. They don't party like Brazilians do. Brazilians will start celebrating too early. Chinese players, they'll just close it out like machines, like government manufactured robots designed to win tournaments, They're getting there, bro. They're getting there.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm
They have
not
one of the
fully
best Olympic
convinced.
teams in the world, Like it's going to happen for esports eventually.
Maybe. I'm not fully convinced, though, personally. I don't think they have,
Yeah, I
you
don't
know,
think right now they're at that level that they
yeah.
need to be. Tracy
I think
Sports is the
Shanghai is going to
newest
be,
batch. It's the
yeah.
next generation. Maybe it'll be more successful than the previous one. But EDG and
Mhm.
FPX are on top right now. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think Shanghai is going to be NA versus APAC.
Again,
To be honest, that's
again, and we got to go to APAC. We're
yeah,
gonna have to go to
yeah.
APAC because even though this is going to be decided by the time you guys see this video, but for us, we can't not talk about this because our predictions. My heart. I don't know if I'm happy or upset, bro.
I
In this
mean,
APAC. Oh, what a bracket, dude. What a bracket.
ERX.
Where did you go? DRX, where did you go? Undefeated in the regular season. Completely dominant. Yes, their side of the bracket was hard. And then,
I mean,
because they got PRX coming into them. PRX in top form. Yes, they look good. Sure. All right, fine. You lose to PRX. Big deal. You're going to have to play against the team from the other side of the bracket. And we all thought DRX is going to have to play against T1, and they can beat T1.
and then T1 beats Genji.
Saya player with the crazy
I mean,
1v5 game.
yeah.
Dude literally did an aspis, pulled out his backpack, and stuffed his whole team inside of it to close out this
Hey,
freaking game.
we
And I'll
did
tell you,
say,
Izu got like 5 kills, and 2 of them were a 1v2 clutch to win a round. Okay, like did just enough for this to get over the edge. But
We
like,
did
what?
say side player is their win con. He is their win
Let me
condition.
tell you, he did it. He did it.
Yeah,
But when you
yeah,
play up against PRX, one win gun is not. It just
that's
isn't
true.
enough. And
Because they have
so,
5.
yeah, right. Like they got a Rolodex of win conditions, bro. They're like
Yeah,
thumbing through the
like
archives. Like, how do we win this game? Oh yeah, just pick one. Just choose.
yeah, like it's yeah. I'm surprised about DRX. Um,
DRX versus
and now
Genji,
there's a
good match.
rematch. That was good, but
But
honestly, I'm just hyped for the T1 Genji rematch now. What
was it
is
a
that gonna
fluke?
look like? Yeah,
That's the
like
question, right? Was it a fluke? I think we would all like to see Genji versus Paper X in the finals. I think we all feel like that would be more
mhm.
interesting and more fun to watch. Um, but this is the test, right? Did T1 cheat their way in here for a miracle run that's not real? Or are they actually the second best team in Apex secretly at a 2-4 record in the stage? That's what I mean.
Mm,
How are we supposed to predict the other stages when this happens here? T1 squeeze in with a -1 round differential. They're 2-4, and they're playing to go to the grand finals.
yeah, I mean it's I don't know. I don't know.
The
Those
upsets never
that's
end.
my
The script
response.
writers are playing with my emotions. They know that I'm a fan of Overwatch players, and now all the Overwatch players are in the playoffs, bro. Boostio, Asuna, Munchkin, Saya player, Carpe. The only one we didn't get was Derek. Okay, he
Yeah.
never really made it as an Overwatch player. I'm not worried about it. All right, I'm not gonna get too hung up on that one. The rest of the script has gone incredibly, but then this is what I'm talking about. DRX with a +51 round differential, way ahead of the competition, and they're out. They're not going to Shanghai.
Yeah. I mean,
What is this? What world are we living
it's
in?
crazy. Yeah.
Nothing is true.
I mean,
Everything is permitted. Assassin's Creed was right.
I mean, my predictions will still stay the same. I think Paper X has the highest chance of winning Shanghai in
Yeah,
APAC anyway.
especially the
Um,
form they're looking in right now. I mean, they are
yeah, I mean
cooking
it's
their games.
I mean this is just Paper X, typical Paper X when it comes to, the games that matter, right? Like they just show up. There's nothing else to
Yeah,
say. Like
yeah.
they're all insane. It's Genji's good, but individually I think Paper X beats him by a landslide. Like
It's just, it's definitely the super team of the modern
mhm.
era, right? Paper X
Yeah.
is the super team of the modern era,
Yeah.
they do things that teams don't understand. Their fundamentals surpass that of even like the peak of Loud or Fnatic. They're just, and they're handicapping themselves even in ways, right? Like, let's be
Yeah.
real. Some things Gecko is not good. All right. If we want to do a whole friggin' live stream on why it's not good, we can do that. It is not good.
Hey, but you put him on
Doesn't
an
matter.
op.
Doesn't matter. You give him a gun.
Mm,
Best utility on Paper
yeah.
X, the Vandal.
Yeah.
Buy it in stores now.
Or the attack side op. He runs the attack side op pretty often, and he just gets a lot of picks with it
I just,
on
yeah, like,
Gecko.
you know what's great is
On
killing
Gecko,
people.
right?
Killing
It's
people
not
is
like
how you win the game.
but
All
yeah.
the
I mean,
utility, it's great, it's nice. At the end of the day, you have to shoot the other team, preferably in the head, which Paper X happens to be very good at doing. Or if you have an op, just in the chest, and you're
yeah,
good. You win the game. If you can do that without utility, you save money.
yeah. I mean, Paper X is insane. There's nothing else to say about it, in my
Yeah.
opinion. It's
We'll be
just
breaking
how
all
it
that
is.
down next week when we get to talking about Shanghai and the power rankings there, because right now all we know for sure is that T1 Jinji and Paper X are locked up. But the rest of the teams that we're going to see, the other 9, we don't know yet. We're speculating. We got some good predictions. Let us know what your predictions are in the comments down below. But that's going to be it for us, Muffin. thanks for being here. As always, rushed impromptu episode, bro. Next week will be a little bit more relaxed for us.
Hey,
on
thanks for
the
inviting
games
me.
will be done. But yeah, wild scenes. Be sure to like and subscribe, guys. Turn on the notification sound so that you get these, since they are coming out around the VCT schedule. You know, it's not a regular thing. Just make sure you've got your notification sound on, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.